Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Harshmeet Singh and I welcome you all to this extremely important video. The reason why all of you are here is to get to know how to choose your optional for the UPSC Civil Service Examination. Now I hope all of you know if you are planning to write the UPSC Civil Service Examination, you have to choose one optional subject. That optional subject appears in the mains examination. There are two papers of that optional subject of 250 marks each. Meaning that whichever optional you choose, that optional individually carries 500 marks. Now 500 marks can make a hell lot of a difference between your name being in the final list or not being in that list. That is why in your entire preparation, one of the most important decisions that you will have to take is to choose the optional for you. Now there is no one particular optional subject which is suitable for everyone. There are a lot of reasons that you have to keep in mind, a lot of factors will influence this decision. In this particular lecture, I will try and open up your mind about how to choose your optional, hoping that by the end of it, you can take your own decision. Now, when you fill up the UPSC form, over there, the UPSC will ask you, which optional would you like to have? Now, there's a long list of it, and just in case you do not know, what are your options available? Let me give you the options. So UPSC will ask you to choose from all of these: agriculture, animal husbandry, veterinary sciences, anthropology, botany, chemistry, and then there are some engineering subjects as well: economics, commerce, geography, geology, history. We also have law, management, mathematics, mechanical engineering, so on and so forth. Then there is my subject, political science and international relations, philosophy, psychology. You have to choose any one of it. Remember, just one. The syllabus will be divided into two parts. Then there are other subjects as well, which are from the literature side. So either you can choose the ones that I just showed you, or you can choose something from literature. Now in literature also you have a lot of options, starting from Assamese, Bengali, Bodo, Dogri, Gujarati, Hindi, until Telugu, Urdu or English. Now, any of these has to be chosen by you, and again keep this in mind. This one single decision can actually make or break your chances. The reason being, for all the other papers, all the other subjects are common. Every single student, every single aspirant sitting in the examination will have to give all those papers. So the variation in the marks is not very large. It is the optional subject where the variation of marks can be very, very high. And also, that is why it is always advised to focus a lot of your preparation time for your optional subject. Now, out of all of these, which one should you choose and what are the factors that you have to keep in mind? So let's start by looking at these factors, and again you have to take your own decision. Factor number one. Did you study any of this in college? I just showed you the list. If you want, we can go through it again. Did you study any of these in your college? For example, did you graduate in, let's say, chemistry, botany, economics, geography, history? Are you someone from commerce or accountancy background? Or maybe you are someone who studied political science, psychology, philosophy, so on and so forth. Even when it comes to literature, did you study any of these? Were you from arts background? You took any of these as your subject for graduation or post-graduation? If any one of these subjects is the one that you studied in college, and again, please understand, when I say studied in college, that means you really studied it in college. Not the ones who just took admission in the college for the sake of it, never attended any class, just gave the paper somehow and passed. I'm not talking about those students. I'm talking about those who properly studied these subjects for 3 to 4 years in their college and who have passed from their college in the very recent years. Let's say you are still in final year, you just passed out last year or a couple of years back, meaning that if the things are still fresh in your mind, then the safest option is usually to choose your subject, the one that you studied in graduation. But again, the condition here is you should have actually studied it like a proper student who goes to college often, who attends the classes often. However, over here, I would like to clarify one other thing that you must keep in mind. Let's assume that you did graduation political science. Let's say you had BA in political science. Just because you had BA in political science, does it mean that PSIR should be the automatic choice for you? Not really. It would obviously be the safest choice, but not the automatic choice. Here are a couple of things that you again have to keep in mind. Even if you studied a particular subject in college and you see the same subject in this list, before deciding, before taking the final call, still, please see the syllabus. See the syllabus of the subject. Because it might happen that the topics that the UPSC is going to ask are not the topics that you would have studied in your graduation. For example, let's say if you did BA in political science, in your graduation, most of the topics of PSIR are the ones that you would have studied. But there are some topics that would have been covered if you would have pursued your MA as well. So some of the topics are from the MA level, that is from the postgraduate level. You might not have studied that already. So before you take a call on your final optional subject, remember to go through the entire syllabus. These are all available online. Just do a simple Google search, that is your subject name, syllabus for the optional exam for UPSC, and you will get hundreds of results. Just look at it and see, are you familiar with those or not? If you are one of those who has decided the optional with this first option, great, your job is done. But if you are one of those who do not fall into this category, don't worry. Let's move on to the second point. Are you able to choose some subjects which have overlapping with GS? If that is the case, then again it will save you a lot of time. Now what do I mean by this? Let's take an example. Subjects such as history, geography, PSIR, economics, PubAd also to a certain extent. These are some of those subjects which are common with the GS part, meaning that even if you don't take, let's say, PSIR or history optional or geography optional, big part of it you would anyway study in your GS part, because in GS, when you're preparing for these subjects, that is history, geography, Indian polity, international relations, these will cover a major part of the subject anyway. So it's always advisable to go ahead and choose those subjects which are common with the GS part. Now again, many people commit this mistake thinking that just because they have read GS history, that means that history optional is also done. That is not how it works. History optional is obviously much more vast as compared to GS in history. Similarly, just because you have studied Indian polity and international relations doesn't mean your PSIR is done. PSIR is much more than that. There are theories, there are thinkers, there are theories in international relation part, there are theories in comparative politics, so on and so forth. But having said that, it does give you an edge. It saves a lot of time. It makes sure that by studying one single topic, you are able to cover multiple topics. So that is what helps you. So first option, again, if you have studied something in college, fresh in your mind, you feel confident, go ahead with that. That doesn't work for you. Second is, look for the GS common subjects. Let's come to the third factor to keep in mind. What do you prefer, static or dynamic? So there are two types of subjects that you can actually divide. For example, subjects which you once complete, nothing new can be added in those subjects. History, nothing new will be added. Let's say anthropology, nothing new will be added. Psychology or philosophy, nothing new will be added. So there are these subjects where once you have completed it, you don't really need to add anything in your notes. You don't have to revise it. For example, let's say today you take a decision that I will complete my optional, and even if you appear for the exam after 2 years or 3 years, your optional will remain the same, nothing will be added. The problem with that, however, is it becomes slightly boring because it does not really allow you to give many contemporary examples. The more contemporary examples that you give, the better your paper is. This is where you can go ahead with dynamic subjects, that is subjects where things keep on getting added. For example, PSIR, where international relations part is dynamic, it keeps on adding. There are some things that keep on coming up. PubAd, law, economics also to a certain extent. These are some of those subjects where you will see new things being added time and time again. Now, it means that you would need to keep updating your notes. However, it helps you to make sense of your newspaper reading also. It also helps you to give more contemporary examples and fetch better marks. It is usually seen that dynamic subjects give you a lot more scope to exhibit your answer writing skills, to actually have a differential when it comes to answer writing, giving examples. In history or those kind of subjects, the difference between a grade paper and a medium paper, the marks would not be very different. But in terms of dynamic subjects, if you're confident enough about your answer, if you write a great answer, your marks can be much, much higher than average. So again, the decision is yours. Do you want to go with something static, where the syllabus doesn't change, nothing evolves, or you want to go with something dynamic? Again, the choice has to be yours. Then, where does your interest lie? The reason why I have given this as point number 4 and not point number 1, as many people would actually indicate, is that yes, you have to study optional in a lot of detail. Please understand, whichever optional you choose, no optional can be studied with just one book. Each and every optional will demand multiple books to be read. It has to be read in detail. It will require at least 4 months of dedicated preparation, if not more. It can be more in certain cases, but at least 4 months of dedicated preparation is required to cover any optional subject. Meaning that if you actually have to conquer an optional, you have to be interested in that. If you think that you will get bored halfway or midway and leave it in between, please, please, please do not touch that optional. Here also, just because you're interested in a subject doesn't mean you should take it blindly. Please remember, even if you're interested in it, please look at the syllabus first. Because you might think that an optional entails some subjects or some topics, but the syllabus might be entirely different. Please don't commit that mistake. Even if you're interested, let's say you say, I'm very interested in politics, I'm very interested in international relations, that is good. PSIR would be suitable for you. But don't think that PSIR is only about politics and only about IR, international relations, India's relations with other countries. PSIR also has thinkers. It also has ideologies. It also has theory part, which you would have to study. So make sure that whichever point you take to decide your optional subject, please, please, please read the syllabus, and if possible, even read previous year papers for at least a couple of years. See a couple of previous year papers. How are they? Do they seem familiar? Do they not seem familiar? So on and so forth. Another very important point, availability of study material. Now this is extremely important, especially if you are planning to take a literature based subject. Remember, I'll just take you back. These are literature subjects which you can take for your optional. Now, usually you will see literature subjects are taken by those who have done graduation or post-graduation in this subject. The problem here is you will not find study material being easily available for these subjects. For example, if you look at the syllabus of English literature, there are a lot of plays and stories and other types of books that you would have to read. Many of them you would not find easily available in the market. For a lot of optional subjects, people depend upon ready-made notes that were made by previous year toppers. They buy them from the market, which is fair. It saves you a lot of time. But for that, you have to choose subjects which are easily available. You will not find ready-made notes of each and every subject. Only those subjects which are very common, which have been taken by many people over the years, only for those subjects would you find notes available in the market. Especially for literature based subjects, you will not find any notes. So if you are taking optional such as literature based, or let's say medical science or agriculture, etc., please first make sure that enough available material is found in the market, be it the books, be it ready-made notes, or also coaching if you want to have some help. You may decide to prepare it yourself, that is entirely up to you. But if you decide to take someone's help, coaching or any tutor, please see if for this subject you do get some help or not, because if that is not available, that becomes a very, very, very bad decision. So make sure that you keep all these things in mind. Which graduation subject did you pursue? Is it overlapping with GS or not? Are you interested in static versus dynamic part? Are you interested in the subject or not? And is enough study material available in the market for that particular subject? By the end of it, ask yourself, which of these subjects is best suitable for me, only after looking at the syllabus and keeping these things in mind. I hope this was helpful. Just in case you still are not able to make up your mind and you want to ask any doubt regarding your preparation, here is my email ID which you can shoot a mail to, and I'll be happy to reply as soon as possible. Please make sure that you do hit the like button, invite your friends as well, and leave a comment about what are the other topics on which you would want me to make a video. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Jai Hind.